Hey, buddy, can you hear me?
Yeah, so we are on air now. السلام عليكم أهلي وإخوتي في الوطن العربي الكبير من المحيط إلى الخليج. أخوكم محدثكم ساهر عطية حمودة يحيي حضراتكم مرة أخرى بصحبة المحامي الكبير جيسي بليس، محامي قضية جوميز وهوسو والقضايا الشهيرة من سنة 2020 حتى اليوم، قضايا 2022. أهلا وسهلا بحضراتكم. دعونا نرحب ب السيد جيسي بليس. Welcome, Mr. Jesse Bless. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm doing great, actually. And today I heard I was on the phone listening to Charles Cook and Bujapur, and it was a little bit. I mean, I'm optimistic about that. Anyway, would you like to say anything to your audience today? They're waiting to hear about 2020, 21, and 2022.
Sure.
All of 3 years that we've been fighting for them.
Yeah. No,
Let's introduce yourself first, and then we can go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, my name is Jesse Bless. I'm a litigation attorney, former government attorney, former director of litigation for the American Immigration Lawyers Association, where I started to get involved in the diversity visa litigation in 2020. And I am one of the attorneys who represents the Gomez class, who are waiting, God willing, for 9,095 visas. And I will be doing the argument for the class on September 16th on the issues, along with some of my colleagues on Good Luck and Go, Charles Cook, Rafael Urena. But I really should start with this year and let you know that I have I was humbled this week because a case we brought in the Eastern District of Kentucky got dismissed after 7 months of litigation and furious back and forth between the parties, where I initially had 2 cases where they had 134 families and 118 received their interviews, and we had a great case, to be honest, and the government successfully convinced the judge that we didn't have a case. And a lot of it had to do with, I believe, shaming our case based on the performance since February. And Sahir, I know you mentioned Bujapur, but that was Judge Mehta's take as well, right? He's recognized that since these cases were filed when there were less than 2,000 visas issued in February, the government really has taken efforts. And that's 22 in a nutshell, right? That's diversity visa 22 in a nutshell. It hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been easy. People have not been scheduled at the same rate at every post. People have been skipped. People have been putting admin processing crazily. But at the end of the day, they're going to probably issue more visas this year than they would have in the last 10 years.
اوكي. السيد جيسي بليس بيبدأ تعريف نفسه لحضراتكم من خلال القضية الأشهر، وهي كانت قضية جوميز في سنة 2020، وهي القضية التي أعدت كلاس أكشن، و هي القضية التي فتحت السفارات بالفعل. والسيد جيسي بليس هو المهندس القضية، أو من ضمن من خططوا للقضية، وهو المتحدث إن شاء الله في الأبيل في سبتمبر عن كل 2020 لأنها قضية كلاس أكشن. السيد جيسي بليس يقول، ولنبدأ الكلام عن 2022، حيث كان أسبوعا متواضعا أمامه وأمام قضية بدأها منذ 8 شهور تقريبا. بالحقيقة هم عبارة عن 2 lawsuits، قضيتين، والقضيتين رأت الحكومة أنهم لا داعي لهما، وأقر ذلك القاضي وصرف القضية. ربما قال لكم ساهر عن قضية تشارلز كوك أبو غبور أو أبو جبور، وهذه قضية أخرى، ولكن في النهاية كل القضايا تصب حول الضغط بقدر الإمكان لإصدار أكبر كمية من التأشيرات لحضراتكم. So let's go ahead and start talking about Huso and what happened in that exactly. If you want to brief that for before we take questions about that.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible case, to be honest, right? So we filed in February, and we had, like I said, we had actually two cases. We had Husu and Preston. Preston was directly for those assigned to Sydney, Australia. And the government, so the court actually allowed us to get discovery from the government. We were able to depose, meaning we had an interview in Washington, D.C. with Morgan Miles, and we were able to get his testimony about how they were running the system this year. And we were able to depose Miss Sarah Craig and learn what they thought they were doing. And we had a large number of documents. And we briefed the entire case. Okay. But what also was happening was, as the government was scheduling more and more people, they were taking away so many of our plaintiffs, except for 16. And 9 of those, actually, no, 10 are, well, 5 are in Accra, Ghana, 4 are now in Addis, and 1 is in Abu Dhabi, 3 is in Tashkent. And I have the other 2 here. But you'll see that our case is reflective of some of the posts that have been ignored, and haven't really played ball. But at the end of the day, the judge really came down hard on us, to be honest, quite honest. I mean, just flat out. She didn't see the merits to the case. She didn't see that there was a case. And she used a lot of harsh language to tell us that how could you come in here when the government has done such great things this year. So
okay, let me translate this to them. المحامي جيسي بليس يتكلم عن قضية 2022 الخاصة بي، ويقول أنه استدعى حتى مورغان، حتى رئيس القسم، هذا القسم بالخارجية، ليدلي بشهادته، وأوضح كل شيء للقاضي. لم يتبقى في المدعين سوى 15. ال15 منهم 5 في أكرا، وشرح بالتفصيل تعداد الباقين وسفاراتهم. المحامي يقول أن القضية قست بشدة على قضيتكم، وقالت بما لا يدع مجالا للشك أن يعني إنها قاسية جدا على دفاع حضراتكم في هذا الموقف، وكأنها تقول له لماذا تأتيني والحكومة تبدي أداء رائعا. Yes, sir. You can go on.
Oh, no. And so, the case has now been dismissed. We have 16 individuals that, I'm trying to help out on an individual basis, but, I take responsibility for, the 16 people who have yet to be issued.
And that's very brave of you. I want to clap for you and take the hat off and say that's really brave of you. I see on Twitter yesterday that everybody, and the day before, everybody is cheering for Jessica and how brave you are, saying that you take your responsibility for that. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't trying to sell her. I was trying to be open and honest about, there's a lot of good stories on Twitter when things go well, but when things don't go well, and I think for me personally, I think Twitter is a better place to celebrate your losses and to be a bit humbled in public and be accountable. Because I told, I've had a Telegram chat with every single client that I've answered to 24 hours a day. And that's why I only took a small case. And I do take a lot of responsibility and a lot of hurt feelings. It's been a very hard week for me. I feel so bad for the 16 people that remain. I mean, and to be honest, it is nothing to do with, I don't think like I feel as a lawyer. I think I feel as a advocate, not a lawyer. I think the legal case is great. I think our legal case is better than it was in 2020, because we're able to show that the way they're scheduling people is not by case numbers. It's this crazy system that they came up with. So you have people who have really high numbers who were issued and scheduled ahead of people. Like I have a client who has AF 9800 not scheduled. So
let me translate that to the audience. السيد جيسي بليس بيقول في عرضه عن قضية 2022 أن يشعر بمعاناة ال16 المتبقين أو ال15 المتبقين من المدعين، أما الباقون 118 وصلتهم مواعيد ودخلوا مقابلتهم بالفعل، وهو يقول أنه يتحمل المسؤولية عن هذه الخسارة أمام المحكمة كاملة. استوقفته لأحييه على شجاعته في ذلك. ليس مكاننا هنا لنحكم على هذا وذاك، ولكن مكاني هنا كي أعرض لحضراتكم الحقيقة كاملة، وأعرض لحضراتكم ما يمكنكم أن تحصلوا عليه في خلال جهادكم للتأشيرة والخروج من بلادكم إلى الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. المحامي جيسي بليس يقول أن حجته كانت حتى يعتبرها أقوى من حجة 2020، وبيقول أن واضح أن الحكومة أخذت أرقام عالية جدا قبل أرقام قليلة. هناك أرقام بال50 و60 ألف دخلت وأخذت تأشيرات، بينما عنده مدعي رقم 9800 ولم يحصل على المقابلة، وهذا ما يراه ظلما بينا. Yes, sir. Can you please tell us where the chargeability for them 15 people?
Where the chargeable, where they're assigned?
Assigned, we said Accra and Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. I have it right here. It's never far. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 are assigned to Accra.
5 من المدعين لسفارة أكرا. Yes, sir.
4 Addis.
4 لأديس أبابا بإثيوبيا.
2 رياض.
2 في الرياض.
3 Tashkent, Uzbekistan.
و3 في تاشكند في أوزبكستان. Can we know their chargeabilities?
What do you mean? Yeah.
Chargeability, like if they're Egyptians, Algerians.
Oh, yeah, I can tell you. I don't have any Egyptian clients left. I did. And they were all interviewed. They weren't interviewed in Cairo, but they were interviewed.
So how many Egyptians you had? Maybe that's part of the topic.
I had, oh man, off the top of my head, I think I had either between 4 and 6. I don't know exactly.
المحامي بيقول كان عنده بين 4 أو 6 من المصريين، جميعهم قابلوا، لم يقابلوا في القاهرة ولكن قابلوا في سفارات أخرى.
And I can tell you, I love them to death. They hated me every second until they got an interview.
هم كانوا بيكرهوه، هو بيحبهم جدا، هم بيكرهوه لحد ما وصلهم للموعد والمقابلة. بعد كده خلاص بقوا أحباب. Yes, sir.
They're very hard to please.
Yeah, let me tell you something, sir. بيقول هو من الصعب إرضاء الناس في الوضع ده. Today, while I was in one of the groups, it's a Moroccan, Algerian, Egyptian group. So just to let you know how they people feel, I heard a football game, soccer game, uh, uh, people from ultras from one of the teams, they suffering really hard that in a game they went and sing about how corruption is eating their um, everything. They left nothing in life. Their life is so hard where they're from. That made me in tears, and I really, really, really start tearing. And uh, I put that for people to see. I said, "This is what we're fighting. We're fighting for your freedom to get you out of there. We have nothing to do correcting what our countries or their countries are, but we're doing our best to get you out of there." That being said, I want to tell you that how much they suffer in their countries. This is why you said they hate you until they got their interviews. I'm apologizing on behalf of them, and I'm telling you that's because they're under a lot of stress.
No, and I know it, and honestly, part of the way that I treated them was by being available on Telegram, so they could DM me, they could contact me. I think the success, quote unquote, success I had this year was being available to help them through what is a traumatic process. I don't know, I think the litigation all across the board helped get the government going. But I think if I had any real benefit to people's lives and their families, it was really just being available to take away some of the confusion, to let them know that someone was in their corner. I'm proud of that because I think a lot of people saw that I cared. Because I do care. I mean, I do. I don't take these cases. I could have signed 1,000 people. I only wanted like 200 max. I ended up with 134, which was great. But for me, it was personal, which makes losing, if I don't get these 16 interviews, very hard for me.
قلت لسيد جيسي بليس عن جنسيات المدعين الذين لم يحصلوا على تأشيرات أو على مقابلات، فسألته على المصريين خاصة فقال لي أنهم كانوا 4 أو 6 وكلهم جالهم مقابلات، ثم قال أنهم كانوا في مشاحنات تملي تحت ضغط طلب المقابلات. فقلت له اليوم بمنتهى الصراحة دعني أقول لك خلال وجودي في أحد الجروبات المغربية الجزائرية المصرية رأيت ألتراز لفريق كرة قدم يغنون في مباراة كرة قدم عن بلادهم التي أكلها الفساد أيا كانت بلادهم، وكيف أن العيشة مرة والحال صعب لذلك ينوون الهجرة. واعتذرت له عن أي إساءة قد طالته في خلال هذه الفترة، وتحججت له بالتماس العذر لهم حيث يرضخون تحت فساد كبير أيا كانت بلادهم في دول العالم الثالث، وفقر مدقع والحمد لله عشنا فيها وخرجنا، وبنأمل لحضراتكم كلكم التوفيق. So is there anything you want to say before we move to 2021 and 2020 appeal?
I guess the only thing I would say is I hope that people who were selected pay it forward, just like you've done, like Britt Simon and others. And I'm going to continue, whether litigation is an option or a tool in the future. I hope that what we've learned during this incredibly difficult period, that people find a way to pay it forward, pay it on to the next generation of diversity visa winners, because I think we all have a role to play. We've all done great things. You've done great things. I've contributed where I could, but we need to make sure that the next generation doesn't register wrong, doesn't do the TS 260 right, doesn't not show up at an interview. So we can always get better, and I hope you and I continue to do that for others.
اوكي. السيد جيسي بليس بقول له في حاجة تانية عايزة تقولها ل 2022 قبل ما ننقل على 2021 و 2020 والقضايا المنظورة أمام محكمة الطعون. قال لي أنا بأمل بس لمن وصلوا بالتأشيرة أو بالمقابلة إنهم يمدوا العطاء لمن بعدهم. فإذا كنت أنا أو ساهر أو حسين أو سايمون أو أي أحد منا قد أدى ما عليه في مساعدة الناس، فهو يود أن يتواصل هذا مع الفائزين في 2022 ويوصلوا الرسالة اللي بعدهم، بحيث ان ما حدش يعمل دي اس 260 غلط، ما حدش يقدم غلط، ما حدش ما يوصلش لمكانه في المقابلة، وهكذا حتى تصل الفائدة للجميع. Let me surprise you, I'm not a lottery winner. I was married to an American and we lived in Egypt for 8 years before we moved here. Yeah, so I had no intention of coming here, but she almost died on me, so we had to bring her to New York for medicals. Anyway, now we can move to 2020 and 2021. Which one you want to start with?
I'll start with, I mean, well, it's actually funny, where do we start? Because the cases are kind of blended for argument, right?
Yeah.
But I'll start with 2020. That's the case that I'm responsible for arguing for Gomez on September 16th. I think we know who our panel is. I think there's been a lot of talk about the panel. It's Judge Srinivasan, Henderson, and Katsas. They're very exceptional, well-regarded judges. The issues. Well, let me start with what's at stake. For 2020, there's 9,095 visas that are at stake. I know that people are arguing for more. I think that's a low possibility, but it's a possibility. But we want to preserve 9,095 visas. I have the numbers right here. For 2021, it's 6,914 plus 481 plus another 966 is if by my math right now.
Yeah.
And I know we're arguing for more, or the teams that are arguing for more, but so there's roughly 15 to 16,000 visas on the line when we walk into court on September 16th.
And you're talking about 2021, not 2020 and 2021
combined. Yeah.
Well, if I look at 2021, I see 6,914, and then 480 something, and then 9,000, and I see other little litigations. Let's not mention that, but on the other hand, we still see that in combined, they looking at between 3,500 more or up to 500, 1,500 more, which 5,000. So let's say it's already on like 8,000. Mm-hmm. So and 8,019, that's 7, and 9,000 for 2020, that's 17. So it's 16 to 17,000. Let me translate that to them.
Sure.
السيد جيسي بليس يتكلم عن الأبيل والقضايا محل الاستئناف، ويقول هناك في 2020 حوالي 9,095 قضية، وآسف 9,095 تأشيرة محل الخلاف والنقاش. ويعلم أن المحامون يطالبون بأكثر من ذلك ل2020. هناك أمل وإن كان ضعيفا، ولكن هناك أمل إن شاء الله في 2020 أيضا في 9,095 تأشيرة، وأمل بسيط ولكنه موجود في زيادة ذلك. في 2021 هو شايف أن القضايا 2021 إذا كانت جو أو ري أو good luck، فهم مجموعهم يصل إلى آلاف أيضا. أي أننا سندخل الأبيل يوم 16 سبتمبر بحوالي من 16 إلى 17 ألف تأشيرة، وهذا موضوع كبير وليس بالهين. تكلم عن الأبيل جادجز وقضاة الأبيل وقال أنهم أشخاص أفاضل، وتكلم عنهم بكل كلام جيد. So now let's go back to Gomez and what is happening, what have happened briefly. How did that start? Where did it end with, and where are we going now?
Sure. It's an interesting case because it didn't start as a diversity visa case. It started as a immigrant visa case.
I guess that was like hand in hand, or the same time was the FAM in North California, where it was the problem about what we need employees. Remember?
Yeah, Chamber of Commerce case. Yeah. And I was working at the time. I was talking to the Chamber of Commerce and working with our legal team at Mayor Brown and Justice Action Center and Innovation Law Lab on this case, because we had initially, my first case when I was director of litigation at AILA was the healthcare insurance proclamation, which was this, we were going to make sure that you couldn't come to the United States unless you could show you had health insurance, which is very hard to show. Yep. And we blocked it. And then President Trump pivoted to this immigrant, non-immigrant ban. And at the same time, of course, we had COVID come about.
Yeah.
But those bans were in place. So Gomez, in fact, was a family-based visa applicant. He was not a diversity visa holder. So just goes to show you how case names and things can progress. But ultimately, we lost on every visa category except for diversity visas. And the reason we were successful was because the Judge Mehta, saw that irreparable harm from the ban and how they implemented it was going to cause, because diversity visas have a deadline, September 30th. Yeah. And so that's how we were able to obtain relief in September of 2020. And so the judge, for lack of a better word, phraseology, told them, you better get on your horse. And they issued about 7,000 or so. I think the numbers are always changing depending on how many cases.
Yeah.
I think it was 3,200 cases.
69, 17 or something like so.
Right.
Okay, let me translate that to
sure.
السيد جيسي بليس يتكلم عن قضية جوميز 2020 و 9095 تأشيرة المرتبطة بها. قلت له نعرف الناس جت ازاي ووصلت لحد فين. تكلم عن القضية. في البداية جوميز بدأ بقضية للأخ اللي اسمه جوميز، وكانت قضية عائلية، وفكرت وذكرت في نفس الوقت انها مرتبطة بالكوميرس، الغرفة التجارية في شمال كاليفورنيا. وقال إنه هو لما كان مدير آيلا ومدير المرافعات في آيلا اتصل بهذه الجهة وبدأوا جوميز، ثم بدأوا ياخدوا جرعات أو عينات أخرى، أشخاص رمزية لإضافتهم للقضية عن العمال وعن العائلات وعن الهجرة العشوائية، حيث بدأت المشكلة باضطهاد الرئيس ترامب للمهاجرين وفرضوا عليهم الميديكال انشورنس، وفرض عليهم إنهم ما يدخلوش إلا إذا جابوا ميديكال انشورنس، واللي شافوا جيسي بليس انه شيء ظالم جدا جدا جدا. هو وآيلا شافوه ان ده شيء ظالم، واوقفوا قرار الرئيس الامريكي بالميديكال انشورنس كشرط من شروط دخول الولايات المتحده الامريكيه. وقتها دخل علينا البروكلاميشن وايقاف اصدار ايشوانس اوف فيزا، أوقف ذلك القاضي أميت مهتا الذي صرف كل جزء من القضية. سقطت القضية في قطاع العائلة وقطاع كذا وكذا، ولكن القضية نجحت وبجدارة أمام القاضي، حيث أنه شاهد أن الضرر واقع تماما على 2020 لاتري فيزا، وشاف أن الديد اند بتاعكم في 30 سبتمبر يعني يجعل القاضي يقول للحكومة انهضوا على ظهور أحصنتكم وخيولكم وابدأوا إصدار تأشيرات للناس. ومن هنا أصدر حوالي 7000 تأشيرة في من تاريخ سبتمبر 4th until سبتمبر 30th، من سبتمبر 4 لحد سبتمبر 30. Yes, sir.
So if we pick the story up in September, late September, after the judge ordered them to make good faith efforts, he recognized that they really should have probably issued another 9,095. And he had a complex way of getting to that number, but that's the number. And if you remember, there was an election in November of 2020, and our legal team was optimistic that not only would the ban end, but that the government would recognize that what happened to the diversity visa holders from 2020 was horrific and would take action. And in fact, President Biden said stuff like that during his campaign and quickly after he was into office in February 2021. Well, that did not happen. And they fought us and they're still fighting us. And so that's probably a good break period.
بيذكرنا بما حدث في 2020، حيث كان حكم القاضي يتزامن مع نهاية السنة المالية في 30 سبتمبر، وأقر القاضي أن هناك 9095 تأشيرة يجب إصدارها، لذلك حجز هذا الكمية. كنا شايفين أن نهاية عهد ترامب ستكون في نوفمبر وسينتهي حكمه في هذا الوقت، وكنا متفائلين جدا بما سيحدث بذلك. And after that came the extending of the proclamation until the end of March, just trying to kill whatever visa was issued in September within the period of 6 months that time. And you again went and Judge Mehta granted that it will be extended even without stamping, without seal.
Yeah. That was an incredible order, to be honest with you. So there's a statute called the All Writs Act, and what we argued and what the judge recognized was we were not going to be able to give effect to the people who were stamped in September without additional relief. And the judge, so everyone got another 6 months or until the proclamation ended. But there's this issue of the 9,095, and we actually went to final judgment, and the final decision was not issued until August. And that's, and the judge said, actually during this time, you had to update your processing in your system so that you can issue the 9,095.
واستمرت محاربة الرئيس الأمريكي دونالد ترامب للناس اللي أخذوا التأشيرات في شهر سبتمبر، حيث منعهم من الدخول، وحاول إنهاء التأشيرات اللي مدتها 6 شهور بتمديد البروكليميشن لحين انتهاء صلاحية التأشيرات. وساعتها توجه جيسي بليس ورفاقه وضمنوا تجديد هذه التأشيرات، بحيث أن القاضي أميت مهتا أصدر قراره باعتبارها مختومة يوم سقوط البروكليميشن، والمدة 6 شهور تنتهي في شهر أغسطس 2021. Yes, sir.
So at any point the Biden administration could have said, we're not fighting anymore. We're not fighting the 2020, case, but they did. And even after we won the final judgment, they took an appeal up, and that's where we are. That's where we're about to argue. And really it breaks down to two really big problems according to the government. Number one they believe they have to stop processing visas when a president suspends someone's entry. That's issue one. Okay. Issue two is they do not believe the Department of State, or actually, it's better put, they do not believe a judge can order the Department of State to issue a visa, even if the judge issues that order prior to the end of the year deadline. They think there's nothing can be done, no matter how bad they react or act during the year. Nothing can happen after September 30th. And those are the two issues.
كانت النقطتان الهامتان الذين يعول عليهم كل الدفاع وحتى الحكومة هو هل من حق القاضي حجز تأشيرات أم ليس من حق القاضي حجز تأشيرات خارج السنة المالية، وإذا كان يمكن للخارجية الأمريكية إعطاء تأشيرات بعد نهاية السنة المالية أو ختم تأشيرات خارج السنة المالية أم لا. وهاتان النقطتان كانتا أهم نقطتين في الحوار. Now to the appeal we go. What do you expect in that appeal? We all know that everybody is so happy that Jesse is going to talk about Gomez in 2020 in front of the judge. And we see that actually Curtis Morrison was telling people about it. He's always transparent and showing people what's happening, and he was so happy to put that for everyone. And he told he put the timing, like Mr. So-and-so will talk about this litigation and everything. And thanks for him. Everybody now knows that Jesse Bus will do the talking about Gomez 2020.
Yeah, I think we got a very tough panel, but I think we have a good case. It's really in a strange way. This really isn't the government does not see this as a diversity visa case. They don't. They see it as a statutory case, meaning they're reading the statute one way, we're reading it another way. They're not saying diversity visa is bad. They're saying we think this means one thing. This statute means one thing. When the president says entry, Department of State can do nothing. Okay? And then they're saying, well, even if we're wrong, if the judge can't do anything past September 30th and require us to do anything. And having worked in the government, and this is important, this may be the most important thing I say to the audience today, because I used to be the Department of Justice attorney. I used to be that person. Their blind spot and my blind spot, I had it too, was we don't put the human part of the story into our case. We don't understand how this affects people's lives. We're not used to it. And it wasn't until I went to private practice when I understood just the human effect of our case, because we're lawyers.
السيد جيسي بليس في سؤالي عن 2020 وجوميز ماذا سيحدث في الأبيل، قال علشان قلت له ان كيرتس مورسون أذاع للناس مين هيتكلم عن 2020 والناس مبسوطين ان جيسي بليس هيتكلم عن جوميز and people are happy about that. وقال لي ان في 2020 الحكومة، مشكلة الحكومة لان هو كان ممثل الحكومة في يوم من الأيام، كان بيمثل الحكومة في يوم من الأيام ثم مثل آيلا وشاف اللي هم مش شايفينه. الحكومة لا ترى الجانب الإنساني، الحكومة ترى الدستور والقانون من ناحية غير التي يراها المحامين بتوعكم. الحكومة لا ترى الجانب الإنساني، لا ترى إنك بينقذوك من بلاد فيها فقر مثلا وشوية ضعف اقتصاد إلى وصولك للحلم وهكذا. لا يرون هذا الجانب، يرونه من منظورهم الرئيس قال لا دخول، إذن لا دخول. Then
Yeah. So when we go to this argument, there's probably going to be a lot of talking about what 8 USC 1182 subparagraph F means, and there's going to be a lot of talk about whether a judge has the authority to order the government to issue visas when there's a statutory deadline. I think the government, should they not prevail, if they lose, I think they'll go to the Supreme Court or try to. It doesn't mean the Supreme Court's going to take the case. They don't have to take the case. It's not like this case where the appeals have to happen. Supreme Court could say we're not going to get involved. But at the same time, and this is, I think everyone knows this, but the State Department has now invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, at least 500,000, maybe more, so that they can issue these visas. And that's important. So we're hopeful, if we prevail, that there won't be a long time or more delay before these visas get issued.
Let me translate that now.
Sure.
في ما يحدث وتوقعاته خلال الجلسة، يقول المحامي جيسي بليس أن يتوقع محاولة الحكومة الفوز بذلك، محاولة الفوز بناء على نقطة في القانون، هي أن نهاية السنة المالية 30 سبتمبر، ويأمل في الفوز ويرى أن حجته أقوى. وبخصوص السبريم كورت، وإذا كانت الحكومة ستستأنف بعد خسارتها إن شاء الله يوم 16/9، هو يقول من حقهم أنهم يستأنفوا لكن في المحكمة العليا، ولكنه يرى أن حظوظهم ضعيفة جدا في أن المحكمة العليا أصلا تقبل أنها تنظر القضية، وأغلب ظنه أن المحكمة العليا سترفض نظر القضية إذا ذهبت إليها الحكومة بعد خسارتها. ويأمل أيضا في إيقاف التعطيل والتقليل من مدة الانتظار لحضراتكم بعد ذلك إن شاء الله. Anything you want to say about the appeal, or should we go to this question? To the questions?
We can go. No, yeah, I'll take the questions.
Okay, so he said here. Okay, somebody did compliments, so I skip compliments. هل هناك أمل في الاستئناف المقدم من طرف الحكومة أم لا? Do you think there is a hope or not, and for us to win this appeal?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yep, I think we have a very strong case.
بكل تأكيد أظن أن عندنا قضية قوية جدا. هل يدرسون دي اس مقابلة لم توصل لي؟ مش عارف سؤالك يا سيرلاين. Repeat. Do you think embassy is going to send more for 2022? Embassy is going to send more for Egypt, Cairo?
Man, you know what? If they do, it's not going to be a big number.
إذا حدث فلن تكون أرقام كبيرة، لن يكون عدد كبير يعني يا يوسف. سيرلاين يوسف سيرلاين. فايز 2022 في أخبار عن السفارة في الرياض؟ لا أخبار حتى الآن. سيرلاين a million times. That's an Arabic thing. كيف ستوزع هذه التأشيرات؟ I'm sorry, I'm Arab.
That's all right.
كيف ستوزع هذه التأشيرات المتبقية من 2020 رقم 52 بدون confirmation؟ هل okay, now I know where is he from then, and now with the way he's writing his name, I know exactly where is he from. He's from that Algeria and Morocco region. He's writing his name the French style, and he say confirmation, which we call a DQ. He says he's 2020 and his number is 52,000. Does that mean anything? Does he have a hope? And if there is 9,095 visas, is there a hope for higher cases to get any? And how will they distribute this? I know the number, I know the answer, but they want to know.
Yeah, it's the answer is we haven't gotten to that. I think the judge is going to tell them to put people back in the order they would have been scheduled in, if the parties cannot come to a resolution. We do know from that year there's a disproportionate number of people from from Africa region, who did not get the opportunity. So that's the best answer I have at this point.
نفس السؤال. It's exactly the same answer, and this time it's in French. His number is 27. الإجابة على هذا السؤال وسؤال أخونا محمد هنا أن لا يستطيع أحد حتى الآن التكهن بكيفية التوزيع، ودعونا الآن نأمل في الحصول على التأشيرات قبل أي شيء.
And you know, I do want to bring in an issue, because there's a lot, as time goes on, right? People's lives have changed. People don't want to go anymore. Maybe they don't want the visa. People maybe are not eligible anymore. So I'm optimistic that more people, that people say, well, do I have a shot? Yes, you have a shot, because we don't know how many people are actually want it. So if you want it, stay engaged, right? Make sure you don't miss your opportunity. It could be that the process has to have everyone involved, because you could have no shows. We could have people who withdraw, who don't have updated medicals, who don't want to go.
الإجابة قوية ومفيدة جدا من المحامي جيسي بليس. بيقول لحضراتكم هنا طول ما أنت موجود معانا، هو شايف إن ده وجود ليك. في ناس دي حياة، وفي ناس توفت، في ناس غيرت رأيها، في ناس مش عايزة تروح، في ناس وضعيتهم اختلفت، في ناس دخلوا سجن مثلا أو حصل لهم حادث، في ناس مش هتروح خلاص غيرت رأيها. طول ما أنت موجود keep engaged، خليك موجود معانا وتواصل معانا، وانتظر اللحظة اللي يحكم فيها القاضي. ساعتها ممكن انهم يطلبوا مثلا اشياء من اللي موجودين ولسه جادين، فترقب انت ذلك، وان شاء الله ممكن يبقى لك نصيب. جرجس which is in English George. هو الحكم، هل الحكم هيكون نهائي؟ Is that a final decision they're going to do on 16th of September?
Yeah, so it's a very important point. So we're going to argue the case, but they're not going to issue a decision that day. They may not issue a decision for months. It takes them a while.
Months as a singular or plural?
Months, like more than one.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
السيد جيسي بليس بيقول لك يا جرجس، هو الحكم هو اللي مش هيكون في نفس اليوم. المرافعات هي اللي في يوم 16. قد يأخذ الوقت شهر أو شهور، لا أحد يعلم إلا القضاة، فلازم تكون صبور معاهم. ماشي يا عبد صبور؟ أرجو اسأل محامي عن هذه القضية. فين سؤالك؟ أنت تركب سؤالك كله على بعضه علشان ما نرجع. He said please ask him about that topic. And now I'm going to search for this topic. أنا رقمي asking if he's shot. إن شاء الله الأمل موجود. Yeah, here. هل يمكن تقديم طلب لجوء لذي احتياجات خاصة وحالتي ضعف بصري؟ هل القضية في لجوء لأنني لا أستطيع أعيش في دولتي، ليس لدينا حقوق، والمجتمع أرفضه لأنهم ينادونني بالأعمى؟ وهذا well, this is not diversity visa, but for humanity reasons, I'll tell you his question. We don't want to be harsh on him, so we got to help him with that. حاضر يا أستاذ هير زاكو. He say, can I apply for refugee because I'm a handicap with vision problems. He can't see good, and his case is he cannot live in his country anymore. The community around him call him the blind. And is there anything he can do? He never left the house for the last 3 years. Though he can type this or let somebody type to him, so we don't want to judge this.
Yeah, I don't think that's a way to get a refugee. I mean, I don't know more. I'm certainly sympathetic to what he's saying, and I don't obviously disagree with how he's being treated. But there are refugee programs that are in every country or where you ever want to go, and it's through the United Nations kind of human rights program. But usually, it's where you cannot. You're suffering persecution or there's a threat on your life due to the government. And I don't know if the government's not protecting you, but it's very hard to get, there's only a handful of refugees that are allowed in the United States every year. And there's people who apply for asylum, and that's different. Asylum is when you're actually in the United States already, and then you apply. Refugee is you are granted protection outside the United States, and then you travel here. That's very, I mean, I would say I think last year there was less than 15,000 people granted refugee protection.
اوكي. المحامي جيسي بليس، انا قلت له طبعا لازم نجاوب سؤالك ولو انه خارج الهجرة العشوائية، لكن مش هنكون احنا والزمن والمجتمع على حضرتك. في نفس الوقت مش عايزين حد من الاخوة المشاهدين اللي بيتابعونا يقول طيب لما هو عنده ضعف ابصار ازاي كتب الكلام ده. ممكن يكون خلى حد يكتب له، ممكن يكون حد بيساعده. الإجابة على سؤالك هو إن الحكومة الأمريكية في مفوضيات للهجرة تبع الأمم المتحدة في كل مكان. الحكومة الأمريكية علشان تقبلك كأسايلم لازم تكون على الأراضي الأمريكية، أو ولو عشان تقبلك كريفيجي أو لاجئ لازم تكون تتعرض لمشكلة تبع الحكومة اللي أنت فيها، ولا يعتقد أن في ذلك سبب، ولكن في بلاد أخرى تأخذك لهذا السبب. فجرب مفوضية اللاجئين التابعة للأمم المتحدة. This person here, Rafat, he's Egyptian. And again, another Gergis, which is George, and he's asking, اسألوا عاوزين ترفع قضية. He wants, they want a lawsuit against the embassy in Cairo because they're stubborn and they don't want to take Egyptians more than 13,000 case 13,000 number.
Yeah, again, I don't think a lawsuit at this point is the timing doesn't work. Plus, judges have basically congratulated the government on the number of visas issued without looking too hard at consular issues. But your anger is absolutely 100% correct, because I've talked about certain consulates from February on, and Cairo sits at the very bottom of the barrel. What Cairo decided was they were going to focus on non-immigrant visas to get the backlog down, and they were going to do the immigrant visas backlog, and then they were going to do diversity visas last. And that's why the visa bulletin stayed low, and they froze out the diversity visa program for this year, no doubt about it. But I think if you're going to say, well, I'll just give someone some money and we'll go to get a lawsuit, I think at this point you could, but I don't have high hopes of success on that.
المحامي بيقول لك يا رأفت لا يرى أن ذلك مجديا. ما حدث في القاهرة أن السفارة قررت الاهتمام بالتأشيرات العائلية للم الشمل فوق كل شيء، ثم بعدها اهتموا بتأشيرات السياحة وتأشيرات الدراسة، وأتت في المرتبة الأخيرة في القاهرة تأشيرات الدايفرسيتي فيزا. يرى إذا كنت عايز ترفع قضية تفضل، إنما هو لا يرى أن هناك حظوظا لتلك القضية الآن، حيث أن القضية اللي كان معها قضية جيسي بليس تعتبر كأنها هنأت الحكومة للوصول لهذا الرقم من التأشيرات دون أن ينظروا لجدية ذلك والضرر الواقع وسوء النية ومشاكل اختلاف القبول في السفارات ومستوى عمل السفارات المتباين من سفارة لأخرى. This person حضرتك اللي ردينا على الكلام ده يا أغابي بالضبط، وقال إن الكل ليه حظوظ إن شاء الله أو أمل، والعبرة بالنتيجة 16/9 أولا. I'm sorry, we already did that before, so I remind them. أنا رقمي This is Sharif, he's welcoming you. ما معنى هذا المين جاي من الباراليجل؟ اسم الباراليجل بتاعك مين؟ يعني نرفع القضية. I will still owe all monies die. I can't understand what you're trying to say. I kind of know where you're going, but I really اكتب بالعربي. Type it in Arabic. The result of DB 2020 with the same condition help us 2021. Okay, now I think I know who's Islam. Islam is asking you here, since Judge Mehta ordered the government for all the cases that are in front of the appeal now, 2021, for especially all the cases about 2021, which is still in front of Judge Mehta. He asked them for what's happening and what's being scheduled for 2020, and they give him that already. Yeah. I see it today. He said, how you think this will affect 2021 when the judge see what happened and almost 55,000 in 2020?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll come up in the appeal, but it obviously shows it's a good example, and maybe I need to make a note to bring it up in the appeal to show that the State Department, when it wants to, can do just about anything. And this was a deliberate, to 21 and to 20, it was a deliberate tactic that took the numbers from 50 to 15, or give or take.
Yeah. So المحامي هنا بيقول إن هو كويس إنك بلغته، وهو هيحط ده كمان في الأبيل علشان يوري المحكمة إن الحكومة لو عايزة تصدر 55,000 هتقدر، واللي حصل من 55,000 بيخلوهم 15,000 زي ما هم عايزين، ويخلوهم 55,000 وقت ما هم عايزين. So the question was about Judge Mehta, because Judge Mehta ordered that in his good luck and Rosales, which improved, Rosales and good luck case, that was during them cases, which is the 9,000 something. So in this case, I'm thinking, let me discuss this with you if you allow me. I think here Judge Mehta might be looking at, they give him numbers last year, which said the maximum they can reach every year is this much. They never did a 50. They never been there. And This is not true that we can do 55,000. And this year, So either you're bluffing me that day or you're bluffing the appeal judge this.
Oh, I understand. So they're saying that when the calculation, they were trying to show, they were kind of get Meta to focus on a lower number, which lowered the number of reserve visas, so that when the team goes to argue that the calculation was off and they should have issued more, that they can use this year's numbers. I think that's very smart. I don't know if the appeals court will consider it. They may.
Now we're talking about Judge Mehta for after the appeal if we prevail.
Yeah, I mean, so the bigger issue is, okay, let's assume that assumes we judges can reserve visas. So we have to win that first. Yeah. Assuming we can win that first, then there's a cross appeal on whether the calculation is correct. And if Meta does reconsider it, should that number go up? I can tell you it's not going to go down, based on.
Yeah, I hope it's never go down not to the zero.
Yeah.
السيد جيسي بليس هنا قلت له خليني اوضح لك اكتر ووجهة نظري. اللي حاصل هنا ان جادج مهتا بيطلب الارقام. اتصور انه ممكن يكون عايز يشوف هل الارقام اللي اديتها له الحكومه السنه اللي فاتت احنا ما بنوصلش 40 ما بنوصلش 45 عمرنا ما وصلنا 50. هل الكلام ده كان صح ولا غلط؟ فلو الحكومه وريته فعلا انهم السنه دي عايزين يعملوا 55,000 يبقى حاجه من الاثنين. if either you bluff me before or you bluffing somebody else now. انتوا بتبلفوني ساعتها، بلفتوني ساعتها، يعني كذبتوا عليا ساعتها، ولا بتكذبوا على الابيل دلوقتي او على القضاة الموجودين دلوقتي؟ وعليها قد يكرر القاضي الحساب. فاوضح لي المحامي جيسي بليس ان السنه اللي فاتت هم ادوا له ارقام مغلوطه علشان يدي الرقم اللي انتوا شفتوه. هو يامل ان الرقم يزيد. هو يقدر يقول لكم دلوقتي ان الرقم مش هيقل ابدا عن الارقام اللي وصلنا لها، انما يامل ان الرقم يزيد وبقوه. I understand once I do this I cannot add my name back as the plaintiff and the law firm of obligations to me. I also understand per terms of my agreement. I don't know what you're talking about here. Please.
Oh, I think that was a plaintiff in another lawsuit.
Okay.
But I that's not my case, though. I just want to make sure that.
Yeah. Can I just take a chance to read it? A request to be voluntarily dismissed from United. Well, you can take that with your lawyer. This is not your lawyer here. Yes, I'm a paralegal and that, but you can contact your lawyer or your paralegal and they will help you. I'm sure if it's possible, it's possible. If it's not, you're dealing with a very respectful attorney and law firm. عليكم السلام. يا ترى في اخبار على الليلة 2020 خاصة بالمكان عبيد المعداوي. He's with me since March 2020 until now, every single live. And he was scheduled already for an interview and they canceled it on him. ان شاء الله معداوي نستنى الخير ان شاء الله. Mr. Bless, I know you are going to do your best in the appeal. So what do you think the outcome will be? We already said that, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going down there to lose. And I've been with the case since it wasn't a DV case like we talked about. So, I think the panel is not, gonna rubber stamp our case, but our arguments haven't changed. It's the same argument that every court has agreed with us on. So, I feel as good today as I did in 2020.
لا أحد يذهب إلى المحكمة للخسارة هو يشعر بأنه بنفس الحماس اللي كان كسب به في 2020. لا يتصور أن تطلبه المحكمة فقط المرافعة وإنهاء الموضوع رفضكم، ولكنه متحمس ومتفائل كما كان متفائلا في 2020. ما هو شعور المحامي حول That's exactly the same. من خالد العمودي بيسأل نفس السؤال اللي سألوا قبل كده. They're thanking you here like 20 comments in a row. And here, from your experience, based on your experience, what is he's typing with a French cell phone. What is the probability that government makes second appeal? We already answered that. Would you want to answer that again?
Yeah, I mean, I think they, again, you don't know until we get a decision from the court, but I think it's probably high. but it doesn't mean, unlike this appeal, the Supreme Court actually has to accept it, meaning they have to, with all the cases that come before them, they take very few cases. So it's not going to be so simple. But I think the government will try to take to the Supreme Court. I do.
نفس الإجابة السابقة، ممكن يذهبوا إلى السبريم كورت، ولكنه لا يتوقع أن السبريم كورت تقبل ذلك. Do you expect the government to apply the pilot program for reserved visas? Yes, I think that's why the pilot is there. There's no pilot without an airplane.
That's definitely why they came up with it, because they were getting sued so much and they couldn't process 22. How they'll use it for, I don't know. I think it's more efficient if KCC has to process cases again. I don't know if they're going to make people in the pool submit new applications and documents. I don't know how that's going to work. I really don't. I think the pilot program should just be a program because it made KCC more efficient, but I don't know.
السؤال عن برنامج البايلوت والإعدادات التي زودتها الحكومة، they said it cost them like $500,000. So I hope it works. يقول الحكومة أنها صرفت $500,000 على هذا البرنامج، فالبرنامج معمول علشان حالة إضافة 2020 و 2021 يا AQ Chucky. And his name is Chucky here. He called himself that. I'm sad. هيكون السفارات التي لم تحصل على تأشيرة في السفارة المصري نصيب. So Chucky is saying something half right, half not, which he said that Morocco in 2020, in September 2020, didn't get just as much as Egypt did not get too. No, Morocco got a lot, just to let you know. المغرب أخذ التأشيرات كتيرة يا تشاكي. مصر هي اللي ما أخذتش غير لمدعين فانغونغ ويونغ وفقط. مقابلات لسفارة القاهرة 2022 يا عم، ده خلاص ما فيش أمل. في أمل إن شاء الله. أجابا معنى كلام حضرتك إن الحكم مش هيبقى يوم 16. You mean the judgment, the judge decision is not going to be the 16th, right?
No, it's not.
لا، لن يكون يوم 16 يا أجابي.
So I probably gotta wrap up in a little
Okay.
bit.
Let me tell you something, sir. This person here come in person. In person. He badmouth every single lawyer. He badmouth Jesse Bless. He called you the evil. He called me the evil. He called Brett Simon the evil. He called every single lawyer. He called them crooks. He attacked me, and he come here in person. I'm not gonna block him. I'm just gonna let him be here. He come here. He'd be like 5 times, and that's really thank you for coming here.
Yeah.
He 5 times saying that I take commissions from you lawyers in the United States because I bring you clients, and I know he's stupid enough to do that. Jesse Bless will answer to this here, but Charles Cook call him a glue sniffer.
Me?
And the others, no, call him glue sniffer.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that because he just can control people with low education and stuff like that. So let's first, so you ban me from Facebook and prevent my question because you lied to the people. So here it is again. Now he said, I can show you that little video he's making, and he's saying, where is the money that the people paid? You have 300 people paid $2,000. And so let's answer to that. Is anybody in the United States can take commissions or for referral?
Not for my cases?
Any case. Is that allowed in the United States?
No, you don't. You can't actually pay referral fees. You can actually pay co-counseling fees, or like I have staff that gets salary, but no, yeah, I mean, listen, I would say this. Let's start from the assumption that don't trust anyone. That's fine. Don't trust anyone. You can think lawyers are crooks. Do it. I think car salesmen are crooks, but I have to go get a car. So I do my homework. I vet them. I make sure that they're good people. Everyone should do that. I think the people who work in the diversity visa space who are known are just invested in what they see as people's lives being ruined by an evil program and a government that doesn't care about them. I've worked with them for 3 years now, whether it was Britt, Sahar, I know you worked with Curtis, and I just don't see any malintent. Do we have to get paid for our time? Yes. Do you know why? These cases are so time intensive. I have not made one dime on diversity visas. The 2020 case is for free. So we did that for free. And I'm still going to the argument.
On the other side, Curtis Morrison, he didn't take money from 54 countries, which is African, which is most of his clients. And that was zero down, and he did all the work. He financed that, and now this year he got the UAO as a co-finance or something. I don't know how is that. But at the same time, I don't think people should always expect lawyers to do free jobs. السيد جيسي بليس بيقول إذا كنت مش عايز أو عايز تقول إن المحامين ما بيشتغلوش مجانا، أو عايز تقول مثلا إنك مش مصدق في المحامين، فمن حقك. جيسي بليس تصور ان اللي بيبيعوا السيارات مثلا نصابين، من حقك تظن اللي انت عايزه، اللي مش من حقك ابدا انك تقول ان الناس دي نصبت على حد. سألته هل ممكن في امريكا حد ياخد عمولات؟ قال لي لا، ما فيش حاجه اسمها عمولات في امريكا. ممكن حاجه اسمها co-consultation إذا كان مكتب ومكتب آخر بيتعاونوا في قضية أو بيتشاركوا، ده شيء. لكن في الآخر في 2020 القضية كانت مجانا تماما، ما أخدش منها مليم. في 2022 يعتبر كمان هو غرم في 8 شهور كاملين ما دخلوش غير هذه القضية وتفرغ بها تماما. يرى أن المحامين يصرفون كثيرا على تلك القضايا. أنا متشكر جدا أن التمرجي وصل At the same time, this person is officially a therapist, physical therapist assistant, and he announced himself as a doctor, and now he got what he needs, and he got what he deserved. So let's go back to our
all right, last question. I gotta run.
We answered this question, and we don't know exactly how this is going to go. He's asking about the visas and who's going to take the visas, and we took 1 hour 13 minutes. And
I do think it's a really important question, and I just think I can guarantee you that whatever distribution system we fight for, it'll be the most fair, equitable. Try to represent the opportunities that people had, and I'll reiterate, there's going to be more opportunities than people are expecting, because there's a lot of people are not going to want to follow through. They're not going to have the documents, and they're not going to want to do it anymore. They've moved on.
هو بيقول للأخ فاهم عبد الله إن في ناس كتير غيروا رأيهم، فما تفقدش الأمل لأن أنت من الناس المصرين، أما في ناس تانية غيرت رأيها. Last question, I promise. He's asking about good luck. What do you think about them? And this is our last question. آخر سؤال هيجاوبه المحامي جيسي بليس. I know it's not your lawsuit, but they respect you and they'd like to know from you.
Yeah, I think good luck shares a lot. I mean, the reason the cases are consolidated is because they're related. So, they don't have the whole year of a ban. They have 5 months, and then they have this tiered prioritization scheme. I think the tiered prioritization scheme is actually, in a lot of ways, worse, because you have a decision by the Department of State pointing and saying diversity visas get the lowest priority. And I think the judge has a real problem with that. So I thought the good luck case, I thought the 2021 cases were smart. They're different from 2020. but that tiered prioritization policy after 5 months of doing nothing that year, I think the case is strong. That's why it's with ours. I do believe in both of them.
السيد جيسي بليس بيقول لك ان هو سبب ان القضايا كونسوليديتد مع بعض، ان القضايا كلها بتصب في بعضها البعض، ما فيش وقت ان احنا نساله اكتر من كده. I would have liked to ask you about your opinion about Abu Gabor and Makrami and but you give us more than what we asked for.
I'll come back.
Okay, and we asked you for 1 hour and we took 1 hour 15 minutes already. Right. Thank you very, very much for your time and your efforts. We're sorry for the lawsuit, and we hope to see you soon.
Well, I will say, just on the last minute, you know, I will say that anyone from Egypt, I swear, you guys, you fight hard. And I give you a lot of credit. Everyone from MENA, keep your hopes up, because who knows what can happen. So,
MENA, what's MENA?
Middle East, North Africa.
Oh, okay. Middle East, North African. Yeah. Oh, I remember now. You called them that. You make them groups there, and you tell them, MENA. Yeah. السيد جيسي بليس عايز يشكر كل المصريين اللي كانوا معاه، ومن شمال افريقيا، الشرق الاوسط، شمال افريقيا، بنسميهم منا، اختصار للانيشلز. السيد جيسي بليس بيقول لكم انتم كافحتم، ولاخر نفس كافحتم، والمصريين زي ما قلنا وجدوا طريقهم للمقابله. Yes.
All right. Well, hey, you hang in there. We'll be in touch. Let me know.
Thank you very much. Thank you. السيد جيسي بليس كان مع حضراتكم، وزي ما شفنا يعني لم يترك الرعاع المكان أو الفرصة كي يحاولوا يضيقوا على حضراتكم الخناق. حضراتكم جايين تسألوا في أرزاقكم وأرزاق عيالكم، وخلاصكم وخلاص عيالكم، وهجرتكم وهجرة عيالكم، ويجي واحد زي ده عايز يخش وعايز يتكلم كلمتين فاضيين. الرد جاله من المحامي رد مقنع. أسيبكم مع حاجة بصراحة يعني كانت خلت الواحد زعلان جدا. إن ثانية كده نشوف نقدر ننزلها لكم أم لا. تقريبا كده نقدر ننزلها. سامعين حضراتكم؟ سامعين حضراتكم؟ أرجو إن حضراتكم تكونوا سامعينها. هحاول أشاركها مع حضراتكم حالا، اسمحوا لي. حاجة مؤلمة يعني، مؤلمة يعني. اسمعوا معانا معاناة شعب من شعوب العرب، شعب من الشعوب القوية، شعب ذو عزيمة من شعوب شمال أفريقيا. شعوب معروفة في شمال أفريقيا بأنها شعوب عريقة ضاربة في التاريخ، إذا كانوا من الفراعنة أم الأمازيغ، فدول أصل العالم. تعالوا نشوف الجزء اللي أثر فيا جدا وخلاني بالفعل بكيت اليوم، وأنا غصب عني وأنا بسمع هتاف الشباب، شباب زي الورد بيرضخ تحت الفساد ويلعن الفساد. تعالوا نسمع بيقولوا ايه علشان نعرف احنا ليه بنيجي هنا، ليه بنحاول نساعد الناس، ليه بجيب لكم جيسي بليس اتحدى حد يقدر يجيب نفس عدد المحامين اللي بجيبهم لحضراتكم في العالم كله، مش في مصر بس او في العرب بس، في العالم كله. اتحدى حد يجيب لكم جيسي، بليس، رافائيل، يورينا، كيرتس موريسون، تشارلز كوك، سايمون، جريج سيسكا. اتحدى حد يجيب لكم دول. تعالوا نعرف احنا ليه بنعمل الكلام ده ومعاناة الناس فين بالظبط. شوف كده واسمع بودانك. شايفين حضراتكم كده؟ احنا كنا سامعين يا جماعة؟ سامعين ولا مش سامعين؟ بعد اذنكم بس انا متأسف، بس عايز اسأل، هل سامعين الشباب بيقولوا ايه ولا لا؟ انا متأسف ان انا بطول عليكم. بعد اذنكم يعني. مستني بس حد يقول لي سامعين ام لا. نعم اتفضل، الحمد لله انكم سامعين. اسمع. كل شيء وله سفار، كل شيء وله سفار. بفلوس شارين بلا، بفلوس شارين بلا. شعب، ناس ترضخ تحت الظلم والقهر والفساد، نساعدهم لوجه الله تعالى، ويأتي من يسرقنا ويقول علينا خونة، ويقول علينا عملاء، ويقول علينا نكتسب من ذلك دولارات. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. وفقكم الله، وفقكم الله إن شاء الله في طريقكم إلى الحرية. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
أيمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب أوبر. أيمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب أوبر. أيمن بيومي شمال، أيمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب أوبر. أيمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب أوبر. أيمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب أوبر. أيمن بيومي شمال، أيمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب أوبر. أيمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب أوبر. أيمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب أوبر. أيمن بيومي شمال، أيمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب أوبر. ايمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب اوبر. ايمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب اوبر. ايمن بيومي شمال. ايمن بيومي شمال.
سلام عليكم. عليكم السلام. سلام عليكم. عليكم السلام. سلام عليكم وعليكم.
مام تعالي خديني يا مام، تعالي خديني يا مام، أنا بعيط يا مام. Please help me mom, please help me mom.
سلام عليكم. عليكم السلام. سلام عليكم. عليكم السلام. سلام عليكم وعليكم.
ايمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب اوبر. ايمن بيومي شمال ومحمود فاضل شفايفه حمراء بيركب اوبر. ايمن بيومي شمال. ايمن بيومي شمال.